نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن خير الكلام كلام الله، وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. As we continue Kitaab At-Tawheed during this day of Wednesday, September the 12th, 7:04 p.m., which coincides with the year of the Gregorian calendar 2018, which by the fadl of Allah, as we started the new year of As-Sanatul Hijriya, as the new year for the Muslims has started, as we know, which now I think which will be the second night of Muharram, in which bi'idhnillah jalla wa azza, we ask Allah ta'ala to allow us to make this a year where we prosper in it of righteous actions, and to move forward in our religion, and to progress, and to keep us firm in this year, and make it a year that is mubarakah, that is blessed, in which Allah ta'ala makes us better people and removes us and protects us from fitan, from the fitan of not only shahawat but shubuhat. As you know, the Prophet ﷺ used to make that dua, Allahumma inna as'aluka ash-shuqa li liqa'ik والنظر إلى وجهك والشوق إلى لقائك في غير ضراء مضرة ولا فتنة مضلة. اللهم زينا بزينة الإيمان وجعلنا هداة مهتدين. Oh Allah, I ask you for النظر إلى وجهك, to look to your face, والشوق إلى لقائك, to inspire me also to put in my heart to yearn and miss you, and to miss towards meeting you. في غير ضراء مضرة ولا فتنة مضلة. He says, غير ضراء مضرة ولا فتنة مضلة. He says, غير ضراء مضرة وغير فتنة مضلة. I explained that hadith about a couple of weeks ago in Camden, probably a month ago now in Camden. This dua where the Prophet ﷺ asks if one was to ask for it, if he asked for it, that the reason for it was not for an affair that is worldly. Rather asking for, if one was to ask for death, that the reason for it is because he misses to meet Allah, and he yearns to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the only reason why he yearns and wants death, because of his shawq of what he has in himself of wanting to meet his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. For verily, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, this is what all the mu'mineen, if they was to ask for death, then they would ask, and this would be their only reason for asking it. It's just to merely meet Allah, because they yearn and they miss to meet Him subhanahu jalla dhikru. But not also likewise, not testing us in a fitna that will allow us to go astray, where it will be a means for us being deprived of that ni'mah. Because there are different fitan and trials and tribulations, especially in the aspect of desires that would deprive one of not seeing his Lord, either being in a state of kufr or a state of hypocrisy, or a state of being from Ahl Bid'ah, who believe that Allah cannot be seen, and all those different types of ideologies which will affect one's aqeedah, which may be a reason for one not ever seeing his Lord. May Allah Ta'ala give us refuge from that. For this year of the second year Muharram, which now we know is 1440 of the Hijrah, after the migration of the Prophet ﷺ, is what this new year has started. And we know we're not supposed to celebrate anything, but there's no problem, inshaAllah, of asking Allah to bless us in this year and making it a prosperous year for us in our religion, and also allowing our worldly affairs to be gathered of what will be beneficial and aiding us in our religion. Because that's the only reason why a person will want dunya of what will will rectify his deen and his religion, and utilizing this dunya to aid that affair. So ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, in this regard, as we inaugurate this lecture, this lesson, we stopped in the hadith in the chapter of Istighatha, which, like we said, is a very important chapter. Wow, 6 minutes to the adhan already. In which we'll find, like we said, as we wind down to the last part of the chapter of Istighatha, and we stopped at the ayah, we concluded the ayah, where Allah Ta'ala had where He refuted those who invoke other than Him, or along with Him, other deities or other creatures, whether they be from the righteous or whether they be from the wretched. It doesn't matter. As we said, that all of it is impermissible, no matter who it is or what it is. As we talked about the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said on the day of resurrection that all of them will free themselves from those who worship them, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow them to talk. As we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of resurrection will allow the human being parts of his body to speak against him. As we know that the eyes or the skin or the arms or the limbs will testify against the individual on the day of resurrection. And we know that Allah Ta'ala will also allow the earth to speak on the day of resurrection. So these are things in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has full capability and complete capability, in which He allows those certain things which we see as, of course, lifeless or inanimate objects. Allah Ta'ala will allow them to speak on the day of resurrection, and they will be a witness against those who used to worship them, especially from those who are alive, from the angels and the malaika and the jinn and the shayateen and the human beings. Likewise, like we said, all of them will worship and testify against them on the day of resurrection from anyone worshiping them. As we also spoke about that last part, as you find in the ayah, this particular chapter was also speaking and elaborating on dua, supplication. As we know, the importance of supplication, as we know in narrations where the Prophet ﷺ had clearly mentioned and said, Ad-du'a huwa al-ibadah. That supplication, it is worship. And we talked about how dua is of two types. What did we say, everyone? You have dua al-ibadah, and we have dua what? Al-mas'ala. Dua of worship itself, and we have the dua of what? Of asking Allah, when one raises his hands in supplication. And those type of dua, and we said that Shaykh al-Islam also mentioned in this regard a keynote that is very important. He says you will find that dua al-mas'ala yatadamman dua al-ibadah. Dua al-mas'ala yatadamman dua al-ibadah. He says of the dua or the supplication of asking Allah that it contains what? That it contains worship. It contains it. Or is it the opposite? Read carefully what we mentioned from last class. Does dua al-masala, does it necessitate dua al-ibadah, or does it contain it? Tell me, what did you say? every dua, ibadah, that it necessitates dua al-mas'ala. Ahsant. He says that every dua of worship, I'm going to give an example of this again. Every supplication of worship necessitates, ahsant. It necessitates dua al-mas'ala, or the supplication of asking Allah. It necessitates it. However, every dua mas'ala, every supplication of asking, it contains the supplication of what? Of worship. طيب, let's give an example. For verily, for example, as far as salah. Salah, which category is this? Which one? Yeah. First one or second one? Worship, ahsant. It's dua al-ibadah. It's dua al-ibadah. Being that the case is dua al-ibadah, what does it necessitate? Asking, of course. This type of worship, however, salah, what everyone, contains both at the same time, of course. Because, like we said, when a person now, when he recites Surah Al-Fatiha, he's asking Allah. When you make sujood, you're asking Allah. You're glorifying Allah. All the way from the beginning to the end, even in the tashahhud, that's a form of dua. Right, everyone? It's a dua of what? Mas'ala. Surah Al-Fatiha, dua al-mas'ala. Also likewise, the tashahhud, dua al-mas'ala. Also, when you make dua and sujood, dua, what everyone? Al-mas'ala. Right, everyone? But in bisifa amma, but generally, it's dua, what everyone? Al-ibadah. It's dua al-ibadah. طيب, another example. As a matter of fact, I'm going to stick with the salah. In regards to siyam. Siyam is, which category of siyam is this? What type of dua? Dua al-ibadah. Siyam is dua al-ibadah. Not dua al-mas'ala. It's dua, what everyone? Al-ibadah. We said dua al-ibadah, what everyone? No. No, what is it? Does it contain or does it necessitate something? Which one? It necessitates ahsan. Necessitates what? Dua al-mas'ala. What did he mean that dua al-ibadah, such as siyam, is supplication of worship itself? It necessitates the supplication of asking. How does siyam necessitate that, everyone? How? Because when you fast, that's dua, a supplication of worship. Because you don't do that except by lisan al-hal, by the way of the act that you're performing now of worship, except you're doing it because it's as if you're asking Allah, even though you're not saying it with words, by the worship itself, you're asking Allah for something. What are you asking for? You're asking for Him to forgive you for His mercy. You also wanted Him to reward you, and you're seeking refuge from His punishment by disobeying Him in regards to not carrying out that particular duty. Right, everyone? So, siyam is dua al-ibadah, necessitates dua wa al-mas'ala. Right, everyone? Right or wrong? Jayyid. طيب, what about zakah? What type of dua? Is it dua al-mas'ala or dua al-ibadah? Dua al-ibadah, ahsant. Why? Is it dua al-ibadah? It necessitates what, everyone? Dua al-mas'ala. It necessitates. طيب, what if someone raises his hands on Yawm Arafah? What type of dua is that? It's mas'ala. He just raised his hands. What type of dua is that? Mas'ala. طيب, we said dua al-mas'ala, what? It contains what? Al-ibadah. Ahsantum. Jayyid. Mumtaz. طيب, so we said istighatha and dua are all connected. Right, everyone? Dua, and from dua is what? Istighatha. We said every istighatha is dua, but not every dua is what? Istighatha. Ahsantum. Every dua, every istighatha is dua, but not every dua is istighatha. Istighatha is a type of dua, and we said is a dua al-makrub, or or dua الذي أصيب به الشدة أو الاكتئاب أو الاكتئاب أو الكرب أو الكربات التي تشدد عليه أو تثقل عليه أو تزعزع أمنه حتى يفقد الأسباب المادية كلها فيكون مضطر. Also باب الدعاء الاضطرار or المكروب, the one who's facing severe stress and adversity, even the affair could be life-threatening, as it happened to the mushrikeen during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, as we know. And also in the ayat that we're going to read, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the mushrikeen, He said, وَإِذَا مَسَكُمُ الضُّرُّ فِي الْبَحْرِ ضَلَّ مَنْ تَدْعُونَ إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ فَلَمَّا نَجَّاكُمْ إِلَى الْبَرِّ أَعْرَضْتُمْ وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ كَفُورًا, as Allah tabarak wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Isra. Right, everyone? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if harm touches you, meaning those storms and those waves and those currents that's life-threatening and it scares you and it stills horror and frightens you, He says, everything that you invoke goes astray except Allah, because you call on Him to save you. When He saved you to the land, you turned away from His worship and started committing shirk again. طيب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayat is describing what istighatha is, which is what? Something that could be life-threatening, something that could be very, very destructive to one's life or his well-being, or it could be an affair that weighs down so heavy on you in your life to the point where you have no one or nothing or anything to turn to except Allah. And I'm sure that everyone in their lives have experienced this. They have been under some severe circumstances or something in their life where they felt like they couldn't turn to anyone or anything except Allah. And Allah Ta'ala is the one that removes the adversity and gives you ease and gives you the way out. Right, everyone? So that type of dua is dua, or that type of dua is called what, everyone? Istighatha. I don't think we have to too much explain. It's time for the adhan already. Is it time for the adhan? It comes in 7:20? I think it comes in 7:20 now. It comes in 7:20? It's in? It's not in it? It didn't come up on your phone yet? 7:17? Oh, it's in? Okay. Say it again, Amir. What you say? Oh, he's not here. You call it. You gonna call it? All right. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أن محمد رسول الله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة الفضيلة وباعث مقام محمود الذي وعدته. طيب. So we said, Ya Ma'ashar al-Ikhwan, in regards to a dua, we said it breaks down those two categories. But keep in mind, like we talked about, that nukta, that matter, or that benefit that we want everyone to be aware of. As we said, that dua al-ibadah تتضمن دعاء أو تستلزم عفوا تستلزم دعاء المسألة. He said the dua of al-ibadah, or the supplication of worship itself, that it necessitates what, everyone? Dua al-mas'ala. And we said the dua al-mas'ala, or the dua of asking, that it what? It contains. Keep that in mind. It contains dua al-ibadah. It contains, astaghfirullah, al-ibadah. طيب. I don't think we have to speak about the importance of supplication. I think we all know the importance of it and the high level of it. I don't think we have to go too much in it, inshallah. We know that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, it says, so many authentic narrations. He said, أعجز شخص وأعجز إنسان من أعجز عن الدعاء وما شيء أكرم على الله من الدعاء. One narration is the Prophet ﷺ, as we know, mentioned, it said all of them are authentic. Of talking about, firstly, of dua is al-ibadah, is worship itself. To let one know the high status of it. And also the Prophet ﷺ mentioning this thing about dua, that whoever doesn't ask Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be angry with him. من لم يسأل الله يغضب عليه. Hadith Abu Hurairah وصححه الإمام الألباني أساسا الخطيب التبريزي. And other than that, Imam al-Albani authenticated the narration. He said, من لم يسأل الله يغضب عليه. Whoever does not ask Allah, Allah will be angry with him. Whoever doesn't ask Allah, Allah will be angry with him. And also the hadith, all these are part of Abu Hurairah, every single last one of them. He says, أبخل الناس من بخل بالسلام. أبخل الناس من بخل بالسلام. He says, وأعجز الناس من عجز عن الدعاء. There's one narration of the Prophet upon Abu Hurairah. All of it are authentic. But the Prophet also mentioned, said, the most stingiest of people is the one who's stingy with salams. The most stingiest of people are the ones who are stingy with salams. He says, and the most incapable of the people is the one who is incapable of making supplication to Allah. Also, there's so many different narrations to show the high status of supplication. That we are facing the matters that are trying and are heavy upon us, that we should turn to Allah, raising our hands and asking Him. And Allah Ta'ala, especially in the times of adversity, will remove it from the abd if the conditions are fulfilled, especially when a person is in a state where he is in dire need of having that particular affair removed from him because of what he's facing of hardship, especially within himself and in his mind. Of what those affairs are facing him and weighing heavy upon him, if he wants it removed, then turn to Allah. Rather, you'll find that these type of matters will bring the ubudiyah out of yourself. It will bring the servitude, and it will manifest itself, especially in those trying times that you're facing in your life. What will bring out the ubudiyah of Allah is when those affairs are weighing heavy upon you, and you turn to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove it. Because usually a person in that particular instance, then he's what? He's yearning, and he has that, what they call, that ilhah. And he's having that what? That ilhah, or that israr. That he's basically now in the state where he wants his Lord Ta'ala to answer it. And Allah loves that in His slave, that He invoke Him while he's in this state. As the Prophet ﷺ had also mentioned and said, "Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba. Fa'lam anna Allah la yastajibu li du'a'i da'in wa min qalbi rajulin lahin wa fi riwaya min qalbi rajulin ghafil." There's one narration that says the Prophet ﷺ said, invoke Allah and you have surety that He's going to answer it. Verily, Allah does not answer the supplication of a caller min qalbi rajulin لاهن ومن قلب رجل لاعب وفي رواية من قلب رجل غافل. That Allah Ta'ala does not answer the supplication of the one or man, his heart is turning away or heedless or joking around. Meaning that you're in a state where you really want Allah to answer it, and you have the surety, inshallah, that He's going to answer it. And Allah will answer it. Either He will what? He will save it for you on the day of resurrection. Because every time you make dua to Allah, you receive the reward of just mere worship. So you do not lose when you make dua. When you make dua at all. Especially you're in a point, like we said, you're in a state of adversity. The affair is weighing heavy upon you. You have no one else to turn to. You don't have anything else to turn to except your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove it. If you're in this state and you make supplication to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will not lose. Either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep it for you, all the way up to the day of resurrection, and you will receive the reward of the ibadah, just for merely making it. Because you will now receive the reward of what? Of worship. Or Allah Ta'ala will what? He remove from you an evil. Similar of what? Of what you made dua for. He will maybe hold it back in order to repel or remove from you an evil that will come as a result if He was to answer it. Removing from you an evil that might harm you if He was to answer and give it to you. Or give it to you, excuse me. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give it to you. So one of those three affairs. Either Allah ta'ala will keep it for you on the day of resurrection, meaning you will receive the reward. Number one, you will just see the reward of it by performing worship. Because once you raise your hands and ask Allah, and you're in a state where you want Him desperately to answer it, and you have the surety that He will definitely answer it, you will receive the reward of the ibadah itself, of worship and servitude. So Allah Ta'ala will keep it for you until the day of resurrection as a reward, as number one. Number two, Allah Ta'ala will remove an evil, similar to what could afflict you if it was to be given to you. He will remove an evil from you. Or Allah will answer it. He'll give you what you ask. He will give you what you ask. So at the end of the day, the person who's making dua will never what? You won't lose. You're not going to lose. It's one of the three affairs in which we just mentioned. So a person should know, I'm not going to make dua. I don't see it being answered. Maybe Allah Ta'ala is what? Keeping something from you that will what? That will be a harm for you. It will be a harm if He was to answer it and you do not know what is behind it, of what might cause some type of harm to your religion or harm to yourself or what have you. So those affairs of dua, like we said, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, especially in regards to what we just mentioned, as we know, it's so many different ahadith, but all these are upon Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu ardah, and all of them are authentic. As we mentioned, number one, dua huwa al-ibadah, or أبخل الناس من بخل بالسلام وأعجز الناس من عجز عن الدعاء أو من لم يسأل الله ليغضب عليه. كل هذه الأحاديث صحاح. All of them are authentic. All of them. Or they don't come out of the aspect of hisan. All of them are either hasan, either sound, or they're authentic. Every which hadith we just narrated and said are all from this type. Either all of them are hasan or sahih. Like there's nothing that is more honorable upon Allah than dua. That's another ahadith or narration that's authentic. There's nothing more honorable with Allah Ta'ala than dua. And also the narrations where we just mentioned it said, "Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba, wa'lam anna Allah la yastajibu li du'a'in min qalbi rajulin lahin, or min qalbi rajulin ghafil, or min qalbi rajulin la'ib, or min qalbi rajulin la'ib." So Allah Ta'ala, invoke Him, and you have surety He's going to answer you. Verily, Allah does not answer the supplication from the heart of a person who's mu'rid, who's turning away, or he's inadvertent, or he's heedless, or he's not paying attention, or he's not really caring, or he's playing around, or he's joking or jesting. All of those supplications, Allah Ta'ala does not what? Does not answer for that person, except that he's in a state that in which you'll find, as some of the Salaf have mentioned, especially Imam al-Bukhari mentioned his book called Adab al-Mufrad, that one of the Salaf has said, I know a dua that Allah will answer. He says, what did he say? He says, إِذَا خَشَعَ قَلْبِي وَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَايَ أَوْ أو دمعت عيناي وخشع قلبي ولانت جوارحي أعلم أن دعائي وأقطع أن دعائي مستجاب. It's one of them. He says, I know a dua that Allah will answer. That's one of them said. He said, how do you know that? He says, I know the dua that Allah will answer. He said, إذا خشع قلبي ودمعت عيناي ولانت جوارحي. He said that in my heart, that it has that khushu', that humbleness and that servitude and that subservience. He says, and my eyes start to fill with tears. And he says, and my limbs become soft. He says, I know, inshallah, my dua is answered. And we just said that it will not go out in one of those three affairs that we just mentioned. So if this is your status and you make a dua, and there's other mannerisms of supplication, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that's just some of them. As we know, that also likewise to call on Allah by His name, His attributes, and also to call on Allah, not to make condition upon Allah in certain supplications as the people will do out of ignorance, or i'tida in dua, or transgressing in dua. There's a lot of mannerisms of dua that we should learn, that we don't have time for because that's not the maqam, or that's not the affair which we want to speak about. But however, there's a lot of mannerisms that one needs to take time out to learn, especially in supplication, of calling on Allah on a certain matter that's suitable for what you're asking. To call Him by that name, or for example, to call Him in Tabarak wa Ta'ala while you're in this state, what we just mentioned here, in the mannerisms of what we just mentioned, or likewise, sending salutations upon the Prophet ﷺ, also likewise from the adab of dua, or also likewise not transgressing in dua. What do we mean transgressing in dua? For example, oh Allah, I ask you, grant me a righteous wife, her hair is black, or she's light-skinned, and she has big such and such, and she's light-skinned, I don't want no blemishes here, and I don't want her to have any rolls here, and I don't want her to have any tin of it. Oh Allah, grant me a car that I want it to have rims on it, and with a sunroof, and I want it to be flawless as regards to the seats and the leather. That's all transgressing dua. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? That's transgression in dua. So all these are mannerisms that what? As are mannerisms in which one has to what? To observe, especially in the affairs of supplication. But these are just some of them. Some of them in which a lot of us need to be reminded of is that when we make dua to Allah, we'll continue after the salat, we're about to pray right now. That we make dua to make sure you are in a state, you are not heedless or turning away. Like you're just joking, or Allah asked me, not in a state in which you're turning away, or you're heedless, or you're joking, or you're jesting. Like we just said, it gave the example of how the Salaf would say, I know of dua, أنا أعرف دعاء مستجاب. أعرف دعاء مستجابا. فقال كيف تعرف ذلك? That we just said. How does he know that? How do you know the dua is answered? We just said, if my heart becomes what? Becomes humble and lowered, and my eyes start to fill with tears, and my limbs become soft, he said that I'll know that Allah Ta'ala will what? Will answer it. Because a person in that state, usually he's what? He's focused. He wants his Lord to answer it. So those situations where a person are in and he wants Allah to remove it from him, those different types of hardships and adversity that he's facing, that will bring your ubudiyah, that will bring your servitude out of you. And that's tawfiq from Allah that He gives to certain people. We'll continue after the salah, inshallah.